See, you're already punk right there.
I'm just going to leave that as the intro because that's just too good. Come at me, Disney.
But not too hard.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
sure
God.
they just heard that and they're telling me to take this down right now.
That would be
as
one
everyone's
of the
listening to this.
scariest things in my life if like Disney lawyers came to us and be like, oh God, no.
We're going to fuck your shit up.
They'd come in a Mickey Mobile, just out the door with ears on top.
Big rubber flappy ears, so when it goes down the highway, it's like... Yeah, that's exactly what I expect. So hi and welcome to After the Hype. I'm your host, Brian Dressel. With me, as always, is Jonathan Hardesty.
I'm never going to forget that imagery.
And CHEWIE Darso.
Hi.
Special back this week from... I don't remember how long ago it's been since you've been on an episode. We have Sam Garrison back.
Hello.
We figured we couldn't do a battle episode without Sam, the reigning champ.
I haven't been a reigning champ for a hot minute.
When I was going
But
back
I have the best battle stats, I think.
I think you beat me by 1. But I am not fighting today, so that could be by 2 by the end of today. So who knows? Who knows? Well, I do, because I get to decide. Do I want Sam to have that lead?
Oh, this
I don't
is
know.
a conflict of interest.
You know what? I don't have my judge hat on yet, so I can still be biased at this moment in time. And then special guest who came from so far away, trying to break records. We have Mr. Matt Dykes.
5,561 miles, I think it was. And I'm going home after this. I literally just came to record this podcast.
If you have not been listening to Venture Bros, you have not heard him before, but you've probably heard him mentioned because we like to mention his articles all the time. But we're very excited to have Matt on. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, that's probably the most polite intro I've given to any of our guests. With the exception of maybe Coy, because Coy, had a little bit of clout. I was really nice to Coy.
Well, his clout has gotten way higher.
Yeah,
since then.
he's not coming back to us now.
No.
he's doing very well.
He's hanging out with Jake Gyllenhaal. And
yeah, and like every celebrity ever, every week. So
It'd be great if we could get Jake Gyllenhaal on.
Yeah,
with Coy.
We don't need Coy.
Can we did we ever do Prince of Persia? Because I would love to do that with Jake. Be like, so Jake, when you were offered this role,
what were you thinking?
guys, this is perfect. Have him on as a judge for a Jake Gyllenhaal battle.
That would be amazing.
Shoddy on Nightcrawler.
Damn it! I guess I'll take Donnie Darko.
Oh no! Please. I'm doing Prince of Persia.
Suck a fuck.
I'm doing Velvet Buzzsaw.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Do you hear that, Jake? You got to come on.
Sticking with Donnie Darko. I'm gonna do great.
You'll do better than Prince of Persia.
I don't know. CHEWIE actually likes that movie, whereas I don't think I can defend Donnie Darko. But
it's just it's a hot piece of trash. But
And he's a hot piece of ass.
he is. Oh. He looks really good with his spray tan. I'll admit.
he does. Look
He's
good.
not Arab. There's no Arabs in that movie.
I was going to try to transition into speaking of, but there's really nothing in that movie that I can transition into a Quentin Tarantino battle. So,
Speaking of poorly conceived racial things.
Oh, there we go.
Something.
Yeah, there's
Suck it, Django.
Oh, shots fired across the bow. No, actually, no. Before we do that, let's do a Where Have You Been Doing? I was going to skip it because we have so much to battle, but it feels right. It feels proper. And we're gonna let Matt go first because he hasn't been on and he hasn't said much yet. So, Matt, where have you been doing?
Well, I was going to talk about Stranger Things, but somebody said I'm not allowed to.
We don't know who that person is. Moving ever so quickly along.
Yeah, so when I was on the plane, I watched Aquaman.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
That was a very or else good.
I get mad at people when they be like, it was just bad. I'm like, there's a difference between bad and you just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, it was very comic booky, which is what I enjoyed it. It's like, one of the first comic book films in a long time that's felt like a comic book.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like so colourful. And even on like the shitty screen that I had, it was like, there's like 5,000 fingerprints all over it. And like, I'm like the entire flight, I'm thinking, I wish I had my cleaning spray and a cloth. Yeah, so I watched Aquaman, really enjoyed it. When I get back, I'm going to get the 4K Blu-ray and watch it on an actual 4K TV and be like, wow, this is even better.
And when he says permission to come aboard and you go, yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, you do have permission. I will go next. And I will say that I read the most recent issue of Young Justice, which is written by Brian Michael Bendis, who he has been okay at DC. I'm not quite on the train of fuck Bendis, because I actually think Bendis is a pretty great writer. But his Superman's been decent, is the nicest way I'll put it. His Young Justice is the best book on shelves right now, especially after the most recent issue. That one, and then the Super Sons finale, which tune in next week when I talk about that one. But Young Justice, if you've been a fan of the show or a fan of the book ever, is back, and that's what they keep saying, and then it keeps failing, and it's a very self-aware book, but it uses all the characters that I know and love from Young Justice and brings in 2 brand new characters, and they're both pretty good so far. They haven't really found their voice. It's Ginny Hex, who is Jonah Hex's daughter, and Team Lantern, which I don't know where the hell she came from, and they haven't really dove into that too much yet. But the most recent issue, which was Lost in the Multiverse, they get to see like Captain Carrot, and they get to see old school Superman, like the one with the gray hair. Like they get to see Power Girl. So it's just kind of like this wonderful tour of all the old school DC characters that we haven't seen in a very long time, while being very self-referential and like just funny and just well written. So if you have not read Young Justice and you've ever been a fan of DC books, that is the one to pick up right now, in my opinion. Chewie, what about you?
Oh, I haven't done anything. Go to somebody else.
All right.
John, what about you?
I'll go next. As of the airing of this episode, I will have finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine or whatever's on Hulu. Nine-Nine. What a great show. What a great show. That's
It
been.
really is.
My life is richer for having watched every episode of it. It's funny because when I first started watching it, Facebook started targeting ads to me for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, showing me clips. And slowly they're all the cold opens that they share with me on Facebook.
Oh, sure.
And slowly but surely I've started to see all those in the context of their episodes. And it's just been great. Now there is nothing that's advertised to me that I haven't seen already.
Are you up to date in the current season?
It's
on Hulu. So if you're watching Hulu,
6, I think.
Yeah.
I think I've got like 7 episodes left as of recording this, but I'll have finished it.
You'll know what I'm talking about. Have you gotten to the Hitchcock and Scully opening yet?
There was one a while back where it was like an 80s thing.
Yes.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
That is the greatest thing
so
that
good.
show has ever done.
It was great.
And one of the guys is from Titans on the DC Universe app, and he's great in that show.
Yeah.
I was very excited to see him.
At first, I didn't realize what was going on, and then as they started talking, I'm like, that sounds a lot like Hitchcock and Scully. And
oh, it's so good.
I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. At work, I'm always sending GIFs of Brooklyn Nine-Nine stuff. Like, people saying, "Oh, this has not worked," and so it's like a GIF of Hulk just going, "I'm devastated."
I'm just so happy it's finally gotten all the love that it's deserved the entire time it's been on. It only happened like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know. The fan base came late, but they came.
My favorite episode of it is the episode where Peralta promises the person he's going to find the perp, and Rose's hair changes every single scene.
Yeah, that was so good.
I thought that was great. That was right up my alley.
Sam, what about you?
I was gonna talk about X-Files, but I feel like I've talked all of your ears off about that in the last couple weeks that we've been hanging out. So instead, I'm gonna say that I have been catching up on the second campaign for Critical Role.
Nice.
And it's delightful. Nowhere near as good as Demon Days, the actual play podcast.
Well, hold on.
Their monk is cool, but I'm cooler. No, it's been an absolute delight though. Like what a great show, and I can't believe I hadn't kind of dove in before. And also, I feel the same way about the X-Files. So look, I did a twofer.
There you go.
When the campaign started with 2 tiefling, and I saw how they played them, I was like, there needs to be a show that's just all tiefling and
Demon Days.
Yeah.
Sorry. And
Demon Days. There you go.
Yeah. And instead, you've gotten a bunch of tiefling orgies. I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not.
I don't know. I think I've won both ways.
Chewie, did you have anything? Did you come around to it?
I didn't talk about the time I tried to watch New Guy, right?
You did not.
No,
talk
please
about
share
the
that.
attempt of
My
watching
God.
New Guy.
So sometimes I just want to watch a nice dumb movie from my youth. And when I was young, I did not see the movie New Guy. So a couple weeks ago, month ago, I don't remember. It feels like forever.
Like yesterday.
I tried to watch The New Guy, and woof. How that script, even in the 90s, when the movie industry was like, you can do no wrong. Even in that time period, I was just like, how did this get made?
Now, before you go any further, remember, I was its exact target audience when it came out. And when it came out, I'm like, this movie's funny.
No.
Eliza Dushku wears a handkerchief as a shirt.
That was
This
just the
movie's
style.
great.
I actually saw a girl wearing a t-shirt over a handkerchief dress the other day at a thrift store. I'm like, oh, 90s, right there. The opening sequence is just what boggled my mind. And then I was just like, where does it go from here? Because the whole...
Just goes
The
downhill.
catalyst of the movie is that the guy wants to talk to a girl he likes. He gets a boner. Everyone starts making fun of him for it. I'm like, okay, high school, awkward, terrible. And then his boner is just like straight out there, like full on teepee.
That's
and
why you go Jinko jeans.
Yep.
The freaking librarian comes up, goes, ooh, what is that? Grabs a hold of his penis. The librarian, a faculty member, grabs a hold of this kid's penis.
My concern is that she didn't know what it was.
And then she wanted to, and then
Is this a Dewey Decimal System?
he's trying to get away from her. And then
she's
she's
just not
just like,
letting go.
I'm going to send you to detention. And he just yanks aside, and then it breaks his penis. And he's the one that gets in trouble. And I was just like, oh my God, what is this?
It sounds like every nightmare I've ever.
I'm back to thinking it's funny.
I was like, this has got to be a dream sequence. No, that's the catalyst of the movie. And it does not get better from there. All right, let's do this podcast thing.
We're doing it.
Yes,
But yes,
we'll start doing the podcast now.
Yeah. Oh, should I hit record?
Yes.
I did hit record. Okay, you gave me a minor panic attack. Okay, so let's okay. So on the day that this comes out, if you want to race to a theater tonight, you could go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or you could wait till tomorrow when I'll probably be seeing it. We have to work out a babysitter thing. We'll figure out when we're seeing it later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is this you inviting people to come see it with you then?
Sure, I'm going to the theater. Figure out which one. You're welcome to join us.
To the theater.
I'm going to the theater to see a film.
A moving picture.
I got to get this up or I'll do it the whole episode. But yeah, so if you have been a fan of Tarantino or you're not a fan of Tarantino, usually everyone is aware of him and this big movie is coming out. And I figured what better way to celebrate that than doing a Tarantino battle, which is a little difficult because people are really hot and cold on him. And I know everyone around the table is not necessarily a very big fan of him. So I thought that would make for an even better battle. So here we are. I will judge the battle because I think just throwing a random... I'm probably the biggest Tarantino fan at the table, right? There's nobody else.
Probably.
No one
Yeah,
else is
I'm
that
not
big
going to
of a
say
fan
I'm
of him?
bigger than anybody.
So I'm guessing, yeah. So that's kind of why I took myself out of it because I figured I had the most and I want to see where you guys come from on it. So around the table, Sam, you have
Kill Bill Volume 1.
Matt,
Reservoir Dogs.
John,
Inglorious Bastards.
Chewie.
Django Unchained. The D is silent.
The D is silent. Although one person does call him Django, and it's pretty great.
Yeah. And then he says the D is silent. And then another thing, I don't remember what insult he gave him.
I mean, that's the one thing I can say about every movie around the table. The dialogue is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of chronological. I always like going chronologically. So Reservoir Dogs, you are up. You got 5 minutes. Ready? Go!
So it's Tarantino's first film, obviously. And it's just the opening sequence where they're in the bar, the cafe talking about tipping and there's that argument. It's pure Tarantino dialogue of there is no point to it. There's no story. It's not moving the story forward. It's literally just chat, but it's very good chat, and it's making a point. And then when the story does start getting going, it's what's great about Reservoir Dogs. It's a heist film where you don't see the heist. It was I think it was on voted as in the top 10 heist films of all time, but you never even see the heist.
I haven't seen inside the jewelry store ever.
Yeah, you're told that there's diamonds in it, but it's all you see is just a bag, and and everyone dies. Everyone dies in it. Yeah, it's just that crazy sort of thing. You watch that film and you think, holy shit, this is. At the time, it was revolution. Everyone dies. There's just what seems aimless chatter throughout, and for the most part, it's one location. If you ignore the opening sequence and the 2 or 3 flashbacks, it's one static location. It's like a play.
Yeah, it's one location, and I think it takes place over 3 hours.
Yeah.
If that.
And looking in the behind the scenes stuff of it, they had a paramedic on set who was, telling them the amount of blood loss that Mr. Orange would be getting after so long, so they could get it accurate. and it's and Tim Roth.
I just find that funny because he does not care about the accuracy of blood loss throughout the rest of his career.
Yeah,
Indeed not.
yeah. It's
Oh
like,
no.
Yeah, it's like the one film was like, yeah, this is really accurate. Then after it's like, nah, fuck it. But like Tim Roth got stuck to the floor from the amount of fake blood when they were making it, and just it's that really sort of really low budget, really gritty, grimy, just fly by the seat of your pants filmmaking, which is like it's lost in his later films because they've become more, I don't know, like I can't think of the word. But like
More of a spectacle than a story. Sure.
And it's like I love that, like especially with like big filmmakers who make it big. Their first films like being low budget things. Like it's one of the reasons I love the first Terminator film that much, because you can tell that they had so little money and they had to work things out. And it's that sort of thing, like with Reservoir Dogs, so little money, you got to work things out. You got to, they could have shown the ear getting cut off, but the camera pulls away and you just hear it, and then that's you can kind of sort of see that it's down to the fact that they couldn't afford to do a real prosthetic ear to get cut off and everything like that, so you just do the after effect of it.
Or what happened to Mr. Blue?
Yeah, exactly.
They ran out of money. They couldn't shoot his death.
Yeah, and is it Mr. Brown?
Brown,
as well?
yeah.
Yeah, both of them, they just die off screen.
Yeah. Well, I think Brown dies on screen, but it's kind of like he's in a car and just kind of
That's
over.
it. Yeah.
But again,
so-
we only see the after effects of it. There's splatter,
Yeah.
and then after effects. Which
Yeah.
is-
And it's like, it's got Eddie Bunker in it.
Yeah.
And Eddie Bunker, if nobody knows, he was a real life criminal who was in prison. Like Michael Mann's worked with him. He's worked on loads of films, like helping with accuracy of criminals. And he's quite an iconic guy. And he's got an amazing voice as well.
Who was he in the movie?
He was the one that you don't see die.
Oh, Blue.
Was it Mr. Blue?
Yeah, Blue.
Yeah. That's the one problem with the film is I lose track of the characters who is not orange, white, and pink.
Not
And
even
blonde.
blonde? Yeah.
And blonde, yeah.
You really just forget Brown and Blue.
Yeah.
and we figured it out.
Yeah, and we got there.
And I guarantee in 5 minutes I'll have forgotten again.
I always remember Mr. Brown.
Fuchsia?
I just remember Brown because it's Tarantino, and he's like, "So what am I, Mr. Shit?" And I'm like, "Kind of."
Yeah.
Fits.
And he's got that douchey little goatee
Oh
thing.
yeah.
That little patch of hair where it looks like he just missed it while shaving.
Again, you're probably right.
He was young.
And it's got, what's his face? Oh, God, I can't remember his name. The guy who's like the main guy who hires them all. I can't remember the actor's
Joe.
name. Yeah, but I can't remember the actor's name. But he's got that really distinctive, iconic voice.
Made an entire career on playing the bad guy.
Yeah, and he's like, even in like, he's like, for me, he's the store guy in the Simpsons episode as well, like who catches bats and things, like that really gravelly voice. Like that, that was a terrible impression.
I mean,
Cut that out.
No. I'll cut out anything that embarrasses me. You? I'm sorry, buddy. It just didn't. There was no edit point. I'm sorry. It just didn't work out.
Someone coughed over it.
Damn it.
So that's the end of that 5 minutes. What? Go ahead. What don't we like about it? Why does Matt not deserve to win?
We don't see the fucking heist.
That's what's
It
what's
would be
great
nice.
about it. That's what makes it. That's what makes it different.
You almost got a
you.
spit take. That was pretty close.
And the entire movie, I'm just like, okay, I know you're criminals, which honestly, in my opinion of a criminal, you should have the good understanding of basic first aid. Laying a guy on a delivery ramp and going, "You're gonna be fine, dude."
No,
Is
it's
not
not going to be
good.
okay.
That is not. Get some pressure on that. Some ice packs to slow the bleeding. Just do something instead of
think-
just
do you
laying
Well,
him down.
it is make him put pressure on it himself, but then he just pass out. So.
Dude, that is one of my biggest problems with any movie or TV show. Whenever the injured person is told to put pressure on it, I'm like, they're a little preoccupied. They are trying to not die. Like, they can't really concentrate. They're not going to have a good amount of, like, willpower.
Okay,
here.
to be fair, if
The
you're
whole-
trying to not die, hold the wound.
Yeah, but you're not really going to be able to, like, push into your own gut very well.
The whole put pressure on it thing's a bit of a pain sometimes. Like, if the bullet's still in there, putting pressure on it, no, that's not a good idea.
Just anything. They did nothing. They said, Joe's going to come and he's going to get you a doctor.
Joe shows
What?
up with a gun.
Can you at least Give him.
That is the best doctor.
Yeah.
Rinse off the wound or just anything.
But that's the thing, like, you know, they're not doctors, so, like, they could do
But
it.
they're
Like,
criminals.
it's
They-
like,
they
when you
can
see in
never
films,
run-
when they pull the knife out, that's the worst thing you can do. Leave it in.
I do have to
Criminals
call
had
into.
other marketable skills. They wouldn't be criminal.
But even so,
Yeah.
if
If
part
you
of
if
your
you're skilled in
occupation-
medical, like in medicine, you'd be a doctor,
if
not a
part of
criminal.
your occupation is you can't go to a hospital, you should know basic first aid.
No, but that's what mob doctors are for.
Yeah, well, you need to be able to
Or
survive
vets.
till they get there.
You know, it's
But
a
this
bit
is
of
the
a,
90s.
So here's a.
it's a bit of a sausage fest.
Before this.
Oh yeah, there's no women.
dick,
in
dick,
this
dick, 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 dick.
Yeah, lots of dicks. And
Did you
If there
watch?
was a woman
Did
in
you watch
this
the
movie, she
different
would
film?
know basic first aid.
I don't remember seeing any dicks.
There were too many of
Fair.
them on the dance floor.
Even the waitress at the beginning of the movie, they just talk about her. They don't give her a face.
that is true. Here's my question though.
Or a
and
tip.
this, or a tip.
They have to argue
Jesus.
that.
Well,
So
they all tip apart from one.
Not even just the tip.
Oh god.
well done.
I'm on fire today.
So the number one thing that I've always heard about Reservoir Dogs, especially nowadays after all of his movies have come out, is that it just doesn't work that well as a film anymore, and that if you have the opportunity, which I have, to see it as a play, it just works fundamentally better as a play than a movie, which I don't think you can say about any of the other movies on the table today. What would you say about that?
Well, yeah, it's correct. It would work. It works well as a play as well. Like that's the point. That's what I mean. It's so different from the others because you can do it. It's one static set, but you sort of kind of forget that. And I only really thought about that when I was watching it this time around. I was thinking, this like 70% of this film takes place in that warehouse.
That's true.
And
It's technically a mortuary when you really pay attention that those standing things are actually caskets. And at one point, Mr. Blonde is standing on a hearse or sitting on a hearse that's inside.
I never caught that.
Yeah.
I never caught that either.
Oh, that's kind of dope.
Yeah.
So that
Not dope enough to be
so
better than
to
the
get
other movies.
to
at
get to the
table,
point
but-
of even more how unhygienic that delivery ramp is, dead bodies have been on it.
And they still are.
No, yeah. I guess they will go down faster with all that blood lubricant.
That's true.
Did anyone else feel that Michael Madsen was a bit miscast? That's always been my beef. The ear scene is great, but I always feel like
I think
I
always
know he
thought that
didn't
was
like the violence.
you can kind of tell though. He's there's nothing. You want him to be a little bit more into it, a little bit more satisfied by it, because that's the fun of a Tarantino film that we've come to know and love. Is like there's sort of a revelry in the blood.
I'm kind of the
But
opposite.
there-
I found he was the best. Like that was the best casting for him for this movie. Like for any of Tarantino's ones, I like him the most in this one.
Oh, I go
His,
Kill Bill Volume
his
2 every time.
detachment
But that's
in
not the table, so-
actions
Sure,
actually make him more menacing to me.
Yeah, and like for me, it's just the whole like. I got into his character when I learned that he was the brother of John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. And
But you don't know that in the movie.
no, but it's just like now it just makes it tough for me to criticize that character at all because I'm like, oh no, he's part of Pulp Fiction in a way.
I hate that extended universe bullshit.
Yeah,
They both like to dance.
they do both like to dance.
It was the first
and
extended
they,
universe.
And they both like speaking through severed ears. Oh wait, no, just the one.
And the absurdity of that scene. I'm not going to give you more things. Never mind.
and that's that.
I'm not talking about the good things of this movie.
Yeah, stop that.
I'm not giving you any more.
I'm not helping you at all.
So it was Reservoir Dogs, and then it would be. Then it'd be you, right?
Yeah.
Bill, yeah.
Kill Bill,
Kill the bill.
Yeah.
Volume 1,
Volume 1.
to be clear,
Yep.
because the fucking whole bloody affair is non-existent for some stupid fucking reason.
I'm pissed about it.
Saw it in theaters once.
I did too.
It is the way to see that movie.
It is the yep. I'll get into it.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
In 5 minutes.
It is not, in fact, the way to see that movie. The thing that I like about Kill Bill Volume 1, and I infinitely prefer it to 2, and I know you guys are going to bring up how it doesn't feel like a complete movie, but the fact is, it is. It takes the this is a series of not just The Bride. It is the series of what happens to all the Deadly Viper assassination squad, and these are the people that have been truly victimized by Bill. And I think that there's a sense of forgiveness running through this movie. You know, like she gets an apology from both Vernita and from Oren in a way that is like reluctant, and there's such better actresses than like even the writing allows. And I think Tarantino's a very good writer, but this is such like high theatrical version of his dialogue, you know? And they just do so much with this sort of overblown dialogue to still really make it human. I think it's probably the most sincere and emotional of his movies because it's the only time he really shows any sense of empathy, because Tarantino is nothing like The Bride. Like, yeah, it's caught up in the homage of all the different genre films, but at its core, there's a character rather than a concept, which I think is often what's missing in Tarantino films. Like, The Bride is a fleshed out person, and these other Deadly Vipers, especially in this film, they're a lot more fleshed out. They have like whole backstories in ways that you don't require an extended universe to understand. The sequence explaining O-Ren, like all the interplay between The Bride and O-Ren, their stories, it's great. Like, it's just really cool because they're both such victims of piggish men, and then Bill comes in and promises them some semblance of hope and completely screws both of them over, and it just sucks because you realize like how cool they could have been together. And I think that there's some acknowledgement of that between the two of them in their fight sequence. It's great. All the fight sequences are great in this. It's just a really beautiful film, and I would say after this, like, Tarantino got a little up his own butt in history, you know, with his little like rewriting it and God complex and blah, blah, blah. And I think, like I said, this is the first time, like, this is probably the last of his like original like pure Tarantino before he kind of bought into his own hype movies. Because even 2, he started to kind of futz with it a little bit. You know, he wasn't just this cool indie filmmaker. It was suddenly like, I am God and I'm doing weird shit and bow before me. And this just feels like such a pure maverick bit of filmmaking still, with the high production budget, with the cool wire fu, with the great needle drop soundtrack. And I don't know, I really love it. Like, even rewatching it again, I just forgot how much I love all of these characters and how they feel very human despite being in this very comic booky world.
The thing I like about yours is like, as much as I still think The Whole Bloody Affair is the way to watch the movie, I will say that if I have to watch one of the two does not feel like a complete movie without one, whereas I'd say one feels more like a complete movie without 2.
Yeah, there's something deeply satisfying about there's something deeply satisfying about this movie on its own. I didn't feel the need to pop in the second one right away with this. I felt good for The Bride. She had made some progress, and it felt like she'd done something for herself. And I just think that's really cool. I also think the murder scene, like the little bits that they show you of the massacre at the church, are really phenomenal because you're able to get a pretty complete picture without having to see all the carnage, which I like because it is a very brutal setup. And I also, Also, I love when Elle Driver is on the phone with Bill. It's so great. She's going to kill the bride, and then she's like,
owe you shit.
Yes, it's so great. It's so funny because she's so mad, and like, oh, it's just so funny. And the creepy way he's like stroking the sword while he's on the phone with her. It's like, yeah, I know what this guy is. He's a scumbag, but this lady's a little bit more complicit in it than the others that we've seen. You know, like Elle's a little bit of a Serena Joy, if we're gonna put this in Handmaid's Tale terms. You know. She's a gender traitor.
You have 30 seconds, and you haven't mentioned Go-Go yet, who is by far the best thing in the movie.
You know what's really funny? I don't like Go-Go. Feels like such a male fantasy that it actually pulled me out of the movie in a way, because the rest of the characters all feel like fleshed out women, and I guess Go-Go is only 17, so it works.
She's just her character from Battle Royale, and like he just loves Battle Royale, so he just took her out of that and put her in this.
I know,
awesome.
And it's like good for him for homaging a movie, but that's like, for me, that's not what I like about this movie. But I love that there's something for everyone in it. You know?
Let's say I'm the judge. You're gonna tell me my favorite thing is wrong? Good luck.
I'm sorry. I have to live my truth.
Yes, Judge, you are so wrong with everything.
No, I said there's something for everyone.
I won't hold it against you. Maybe 5 minutes about why Sam is wrong about Kill Bill Volume 1.
It doesn't really have an ending.
Touche.
Yeah.
The first argument for both of these have been so good.
I always did really enjoy this movie, but I always got annoyed at certain things of, I don't really feel like the women feel bad of what they did to the bride. I think that they're just saying they are sorry because now they're getting their comeuppance. And yeah, they all moved on with their lives, and one became a mom, one became a crime lord, one's just holding on to all of her spite. And it just kind of feels like a male fantasy of like, where did Charlie's Angels go? Like, what if like Charlie's Angels were just a little bit more hardcore
And had Uma Thurman.
and then
See, I would watch that version of Charlie's Angels.
the yellow tracksuit is fun. She looks great in it, but then I was always a little annoyed that like her awesomeness was always a little beholden to Bruce Lee then. Like,
I mean,
the
that is-
homages in the movie is great, but being
Isn't all of our awesomeness a little bit beholden to Bruce Lee, the definition of awesomeness? I mean,
I don't think that anything in my life is related to Bruce Lee.
that's a you problem, isn't it?
Unless I have an aneurysm someday.
I think the big thing for me always with this one, because I like Volume 1 versus Volume 2 a lot more, but it always like both of these movies separated were always uneven in very specific ways, where you got a lot of the fun, action, and the humor in the first one, but then a lot of that like a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the just the kind of the twisted darkness of Tarantino, like really dark. It kind of both of them by themselves kind of feel uneven, and even though like I like this one Volume 1 more, I feel like I'm missing some of that, more of that, the rest of the good stuff in 2.
Well, it's interesting because this is kind of the kickoff of how his modern movie is done, where the first half is more lighthearted than the second half. And unfortunately, this one had to be broken into 2 movies because nobody in the right mind would release a 4-hour movie. So you don't get that effect of, say, like, I'm trying to think of one, like, say, Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight starts out, and the very front half is always just kind of dialogue and lighthearted, and then the back half is Murder Fest USA.
Murder.
So it's like this one kind of
Django
started
has
that.
dress up.
I didn't want to use any of the movies on the table
I
for
know.
my example. So.
Right. Because that would show unnecessary bias.
Exactly. So I went for Hateful Eight, which is probably my least favorite out of all of this. But
Same, Judge. Same. But you know what your favorite out of all of these is? Kill Bill Volume 1.
well played.
You know why? Go.
I do love Go-Go.
It's always kind of annoyed me at the beginning of this movie that the whole thing that pulls her out of her coma is that she's about to be raped. Because
It's actually a mosquito, and then the rape happens.
okay,
Take that argument.
either way, she's gonna get penetrated, and that's when she wakes up. And
So instead of being penetrated once, she's penetrated twice.
yeah.
She doesn't get penetrated the second time.
The whatever of it.
But she still gets penetrated the first time, which, you know, in itself is bad.
And you're assuming many times
Yeah.
before this. They make it
You
pretty
assume
clear
he's
this
gonna-
has been going on a while.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, how else would he know?
Yeah. But that's the
You
like,
need that.
for
It's
my
such a gross feeling to start the movie with.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's great that she gets all of her comeuppance later, but
Oh, he definitely gets his.
ugh.
I honestly think it's interesting though, because it starts to point to what Bill did to her and to all these women. Like, I think it's just like the whole movie is about like a dude who's just like raping and manipulating women.
No, it's about a dude
Yeah,
making women
it's-
do his dirty work.
It's
just like in
definitely
Charlie's
a rape.
Angels.
Yeah, it's a no,
When you get down to Charlie, it was like, what the frick is that guy doing?
it's a rape revenge fantasy, because even Bill is using like sexual terms. I mean, like he says he's being sadistic, but it's actually him at his most masochistic. And yeah, I mean, I think there is like, it doesn't justify the fact that like she's getting raped, but this is a rape revenge fantasy.
and
it sets a good
And it feeds
tone.
into the pettiness of women fighting each other, especially with like Elle Driver, and she's the blonde that wasn't the favorite. That Beatrix. What, do you learn her name's Beatrix in this movie?
No.
So that's the second one.
I mean, I like
kid.
realism as well in
The
films, and like with Reservoir Dogs, very realistic. Kill Bill, not so much.
Oh no!
Like she
They're
gets,
the physics
she gets
of this
shot in the
movie.
head, and with like I think he has a 44 Magnum as well. Her head would be gone.
The way
Especially
she
at that-
flies up the staircase.
Yeah, it's just like for me, it's just too far into the fantastical, whilst also trying to be like, yeah, it's really gritty and great, but it's like you sort of lose that for me.
And we're out of time. All right, so that would make John next, right?
Yep.
Right.
Glorious Bastards.
Right. Oh yeah, because you guys were like basically one than the other.
Right.
Make this glorious, John.
I make it inglorious.
you don't put up the U in it.
So I really like this movie first and foremost because of a sense of catharsis and the fact that it speaks to today with the resurgence of Nazism and all that grossness. It was very cathartic first and foremost to watch this again. But there's a lot of other things I really liked about this movie. versus any of the other ones is that it has a sense of kind of a fairy tale-ness, kind of latched onto a sense of history, which when it plays fast and loose with the historical elements, it kind of feels heightened in a way. And I liked that it allowed for the comedy to be amped up as well. And it has this really kind of absurdist feel to it that I really latched onto. And by far, out of any Tarantino movie, there's always conversations that are supposed to be there to build tension. And the chief feature of this movie versus the other ones is that the conversations themselves weren't just mundane things like, oh, well, you get a hamburger, Royale with cheese or whatever. They're leading to something. They're trying to get a handle on the war, kill the Führer, whatever they're trying to do. There's always some kind of leading guidance to the conversation, but the conversations go on, and you're always cued in very early about the stakes of it. And I really liked, especially the scene with in the basement bar. I didn't remember how stressful it was watching it until I watched it again this time, and just knowing all the pieces in play and how they're like one mistake and that's it. And everyone's kind of, there's a tension there that I think is the best out of the movies that I've seen of his, where it's just this conversation, them hanging out trying to get the information, just going on, and shit's about to go down, especially when the Gestapo agent comes in and you're just like, this is getting worse. And if you're in a situation like that, you're like, what else couldn't go wrong? And everything else does go wrong, and you're just stressed. And I like that about this, especially with the other conversations. The first scene with Christoph Waltz, who is amazing in this movie. I think it's my favorite Tarantino performance across the board, just for its camp, its cheesiness, but there's just something so deliciously vile about how he plays it that it's just like a snake. And I really like that element, and it works with the setting. But even that first scene that he's in with the farmer and hiding, like he's able to convince him right away to just out the people under the floorboards, and it's stressful because at first when I first saw it, I didn't realize what was going on underneath until they panned down, and you're like, oh shit, this is a lot more than meets the eye. And the camera work in here is doing a lot of work in telling the story as well. And it makes sense that this is also a movie about filmmaking and the history of cinema, which one of the things that I ended up really, really liking about this, and it spoke to me, is that through the power of cinema, we were able to defeat Hitler and Nazism. It's like the power of storytelling and cinema is what defeats the evil in this story. And I thought, for as seemingly trite as that sounds, that there's something kind of cool about that, especially with it's literal as well as figurative in that. And there's so many other people. There's I wish I remembered names very well, but the main Shoshana, like her arc is pretty cool, and she's a projectionist. And there's not many movies with projectionists in them as like one of the main characters, and I thought that was really cool. The movie, it's really cool, and
Really leaning into your judge right there.
Leaning.
Damn.
Objection.
but also like, and you can't forget Brad Pitt, who I didn't realize how funny his accent was in this, and I thought it was such a great turn, especially the payoff, buongiorno. And I laughed my ass off, and it was like midnight or whatever, but it was those performances were really great and really comedic, and I didn't realize how funny this was the first time because I wasn't on the vibe of it compared to like previously watching Kill Bill and kind of getting into that mode where it was like two separately themed things. Just to have it all kind of together in a cohesive unit as one movie, it was really, really cool. And let's see, what else have I missed?
Mike Myers.
Are you trying to avoid Mike Myers?
No, just Project Kino is the funniest like plan that goes so tits up. It is great. And watching it this time around, seeing Michael Fassbender come in and it's like, oh, you're gonna screw up. Like it just, the kind of playing with the incompetence on both sides of the war was a really nice touch, and it helped play with the absurdity of it. And the final scene caps it off with, this might be my masterpiece, and that confidence, I think, I like in across the board. It's just a nice cap to the movie.
You're out of time.
Out of time.
So I'll start off the taking down of this one just because.
Damn, son.
Well, no. The main reason is because this is the one thing that's always stuck with me is like when I saw this movie, I was convinced, just like that last line says, when he says, "I think this is my masterpiece." I'm like, that is Quentin Tarantino talking to the audience because this is the best thing he's ever made. And every time I've gone back to it since, I'm like, no, there are a lot of fucking problems in this movie, and chiefly among them is the cast. I think the cast is phenomenal in everything they do, but. He was so determined to have an ensemble cast like he's done with Pulp Fiction, like he's done with Kill Bill and fucking everything, is that I think he spread himself too thin across the board on this one, and you never really feel attached to any one person, even though every person has a very compelling story and an engaging story. Because there's so many of them, we never actually attach to any of them, and that's what I want to hear you try to combat.
Yeah, I do think that tends to be a weaker element of the movie, but I think kind of going back into that more fairy tale heightened kind of fable-esque aspect of this, playing fast and loose with history. I think that's kind of the point of it. It heightens
But that still
it and
doesn't
makes it
be
more
anybody's characters.
Yeah,
It makes
seems
it more
like he
mi-
had a really cool title, and then he built a movie around it. And his most interesting character was like Shoshana, who is not a bastard, and that's unfortunate.
Well, that's the thing, is like because it is a remake. Like there is another film this is based on that's all about the bastards.
Right. But I think that goes into more of what I think he was trying to do more of a mythical element of storytelling with this, because
Also, the hubris of like pretending that you can defeat World War II or you can end World War II with the power of cinema. It's like, that's not how that happened. We made a real unholy alliance with the Russians and fucked us into this
Yeah.
century.
But that's the
Like,
thing is,
And
It's-
we're also forgetting that Eli Roth is an actor in this movie.
I liked Donnie Baird,
Well,
Donowitz.
I just
he's
don't-
got the
I
best.
don't-
He's got the best edit line.
I
in
don't
this.
like Eli Roth very much, so just looking at him, I'm like, you
Well, I
invented
think-
torture porn.
I think to the credit of the point Brian made, that the fact that everyone spread so thin, we don't get enough of, like, we don't get too much of Eli Roth's character. He's in there just enough to do what he needs to do, and he's out.
You don't want him to talk too much because then you realize he's not an actor.
I mean, that's
No,
One
yeah.
of the things.
My issue with it is it's got an amazing opening scene. Like that scene in the house is phenomenal, and then it just everything after that's a bit like.
it's kind of like the greatest short film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Attacked onto a 2.5
Yeah,
hour
it
movie.
would literally be you if you
That
just had
happened
that
with
as
the
one
Bye Bye
thing.
Man too, and you don't want to make that comparison.
But then
Brian also
Oh, and
used-
I should clarify, it's not a remake. He just used the same title, and there's little similarities in between.
well, yeah,
Before
spelled
anybody
different.
blows us up,
like,
yeah.
but every one of his movies is, that's the big thing with Quentin Tarantino,
Sure, yeah.
is like, does he have an original movie like purely in his bones at all? And well, none of the movies at the table have that.
Well, at least Kill Bill. She wants to kill Bill.
It's very
Like, I
straightforward.
don't got to explain what a reservoir dog is. I don't got to explain what like an Inglorious Bastard and why it's spelled wrong is. Django, I get it. Like, that's fine. But
Yeah, but who is the better kill though, Bill
Yeah,
or
yeah, but
Hitler?
he didn't kill Bill in that one.
Okay, that was a good argument.
But again, the bastards didn't do it. It was Shoshana. This should have been Inglorious
Yeah.
Shoshana.
Oh no, the bastard!
The
Like
bastards
do it.
definitely do it.
Yeah,
they
Yeah, that's
shot the
fair.
shit out of Hitler.
The other
Twice,
problem with
and
this
he blew up.
movie is the entire time Brian and I were on our honeymoon, Brian used this movie to shame me.
Yes, I did.
Because it'd be like, every time you try to say bonjour,
That's what you
I
say.
can't do it. He's like, you sound like Brad Pitt. I'm like, shut up.
But counterpoint, you can't use his annoyances to like shame the argument here.
He actually gets more joy out of that. So
I really do. It really helps you a lot more.
Okay, fine then. As long as it helps me, cool. Otherwise,
Every
I call
time I walk by
shenanigans.
someone's like, bonjour, and she go, bonjour.
I'm sorry. I can't be French.
Arrivederci.
I can't do it.
Yeah, get the guy in the cigar coat.
And like I said on our honeymoon, there's nothing to apologize for. It was constantly entertaining.
Everyone knew we were American.
Oh, yes.
Were
If
you
it wasn't
waving
for my
a flag?
Ninja Turtle hat. Bonjour.
I tried to sound very pleasant when I did it.
Buongiorno.
Bong.
Cow. It's chow.
I never said cow.
Bingo.
Cowbella.
Such a great scene, though.
It's like the thing of him like making that mistake as well. It's kind of ripping off The Great Escape, which is like it's the whole thing of like, good luck. Oh, thank you. Shit.
But I think that's kind of like with like I think kind of what John said a little bit earlier is like that's or no, it's CHEWIE. Like that's he makes homages in all of his films. So That one's a little bit tough for me to take as an actual argument against any of them because you could all do that to each other.
Yeah, you say homage, I say rip off. You know.
Talk about Reservoir Dogs.
Done.
Let's call the whole thing off.
People say that's a direct lift of a movie.
I just keep thinking about Beauty and the Beast, where they're like, bonjour, 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 bonjour,
I want
bonjour.
I want the Brad Pitt version of that. Bonjour, 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 bonjour.
Now.
There goes
Just
the
watch the
bastards
live
with their
action one.
bats like always.
Like I said, just watch the live action.
The same
You
old scalps
already
in which
have
to
it.
sell.
Every crowd is just the same since the morning that
You know,
we
she,
came.
when you really think about that song, she's being
Stupid
super
German
bitchy
town.
to everyone she
Oh,
grew
yeah.
up with.
Belle sucks.
Bingo.
Belle, stop disrespecting everyone
It's
that
a
loves
bingo.
you.
You guys are boring and I hate you.
I'm better than all of you. I'm Belle.
You can't read, can you, chimp?
Whoa,
Jesus.
classist.
I want you to read the audiobook of
Belle was a
that
Percy
movie there,
too.
Brian.
It's okay.
You can't read, can you, chump? Blech.
Now give me your bread.
That's how all audiobooks should start. You can't read, can you? Haha.
Oh, that would I
Let's
would be
get
like,
started, you illiterate
Break so
fuck.
many dyslexic people's
I would feel so
hearts.
bad if I heard that. I'd be like, yes, I can't read right now.
Of learning to read.
Ooh,
Oh.
good transition into Django Unchained. 5 minutes.
Django,
Go.
Django chains. Okay.
Are you gonna scream Unchained?
Yes, my movie. Throwing into the theme of my battles is this is Unchained. There is unchaining literally in this movie multiple times.
Hot.
We start this movie with an unchaining. So, Django. I was
Django?
To Django? That's negative
I'm
1 point to
terrible
Gryffindor.
with silent letters. So Django Unchained, guys, is a direct reference of an Italian movie called the Django series, which the original actor from that series is in this film during the Mendingo fight where they see that for the first time and he plays the Italian guy that
It's
loses.
that brilliant moment where he says, "There's D sounds like I know how it's spelled."
Yeah. Yeah, that's the guy that originally played the character.
Yep.
And
Franco Nero.
so this movie is a lot more like aware that it is a remake, and I think it does a wonderful job being a remake while also being a complete revision. Again, a little bit revision-y in history, even though it does say it takes place 2 years before the Civil War. So shit could have happened, we just didn't know it.
This could be a true story.
Oh! And
Before the
so-
Civil War got unchained.
So it follows Christoph Waltz, which, yes, was Inglorious, but he shines in this movie, like shines.
Through all
And-
that beard.
Like, he comes out with a little cart with a little wobbly tooth on top, and it's so unassuming, and he's just so like, yeah, I'm a dentist, but I want one of your guys here. And you think he's totally, like, non-offensive, and then it turns out that, oh, he's a bloody fucking killer. So he kills the guys, he gets Django out, makes a deal with Django, and like, so can you tell me who the Brittle Brothers are? Yeah, I can. All right, cool. I'm gonna help you get your wife after that, because I feel bad about all the slave shit, and I want to help you, and we're gonna be best friends. So the beginning of this movie is kind of a buddy flick. And it's like all like they're getting to know each other. Django's getting his confidence. He gets to choose his own clothes. He helps him to learn how to read. It's great. Like, it's a really like uplifting scenario for a little while there. And then you have to go to Candyland, which sounds really pretty and stuff, but Candyland sucks. This is not a good Candyland. There's only one
There's
true.
no Queen Frostine.
No,
damn
there's
it.
none. There's Leonardo DiCaprio being about the worst person I think I've ever seen him play. And he just revels in his terribleness, and he does an amazing, like, everyone's performances in this movie are top notch. Like, I don't think I could give one.
Except for Tarantino's Australian accent.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
okay,
you
but
go.
that's different.
Good day,
But
mate.
dude,
Buongiorno.
we have the movie where we have lanky Tarantino, and then we have the movie where he got middle-aged. He's got a little bit of a
We
gullet
can call him Fat
Tarantino.
Tarantino.
Fat Tarantino.
So is this like Fat Russell Crowe?
No,
No,
Fat
Fat
Russell
Russell Crowe's
Crowe.
Fat
magic.
Russell
Get
Crowe
it.
looks better.
Not Roger Ailes, Fat Russell Crowe.
No,
That's
but even
gross.
so this movie, I
Still
really
here for it.
I feel like all of the things that Quentin learned in the previous films that were discussed, he polished in this. He had his references, he had his direct scenes that were like from other films, but the lighting in it, the characterization, the choice of costumes, the completely over-the-top squibs where it's just fountains of blood coming out of people, like we're just like sacks of blood and there's no muscle or bone in us. And just, I adore it for all that. lost my gusto for a little moment there. And I also like that it's not a straightforward narrative. It does meander a little bit. You think the movie's about to end, and then it goes into another thing. Because it's like these type of stories, when you really think about them, there's never a clear-cut happy ending. Because it's just, that doesn't work in real life. So you get to the thing where they get into Candyland, it doesn't go the way they want. He almost gets his balls cut off. Then he's sent into a cage where you think he's going to become a slave again. He's able to switch it around, get back control of the situation, and then go back to Candyland and fucking kill everyone and blow it up. It's still probably not a happy ending. Their lives probably won't be great afterwards. But at least they're together, him and Brunhilde. And it's just... Brunhilde. And I love the sequences throughout the movie where he's just like seeing her as a vision, where he's just like, I love my wife, and my entire essence is to get to my wife and get her free along with me, and we're gonna run off together. Like, it's like, truly, it feels like an epic mythical journey within that. And it's one of the reasons, again, why I love this movie, because it is obscene and it is offensive and it is like totally out of this world, like, and it's great.
And you're out of time. How do you like that? You got right up to the finish line. But 5 minutes to say why this one isn't as bad. I do not have an argument locked and loaded like I did for Inglourious in this one. So if anybody wants to start, go for it.
It's just so long.
Oh,
Like, it's just so long. And
I guess it really gets into whether or not you're into it, because if you're not as invested in what's happening, then yeah, I could, like, it might be a little bit like the ending of...
I think the problem is, too, Django is such a, like... I don't know, like, I get his motivation, but I never, like, buy it. And I don't know if that's, like, Jamie Foxx or the writing or the fact that he just doesn't have as much dialogue as someone who's, like, super talky, like Christoph Waltz or, like, Leonardo DiCaprio or... even Samuel L. Jackson, who I think is great and like hugely underrated and wonderful in this.
I think it's to the colorful cast is to blame. Like the fact that everyone really...
it's a direct thing of his character because he was a slave. He was always told to be quiet, so therefore he was always assessing situations. So it totally makes sense that he would always still be assessing the situation while the white people bicker.
That doesn't really track though, because then he becomes really sort of like quippy and whatnot.
Because
like,
when he gets to the plantation, he's purposely playing a bastard, quippy, talk-back guy to keep the white people kind of on edge.
Well,
like,
I mean,
this is like really like what they would call an uppity black person, and be like, oh,
yeah, but like
really
when he
sure
kills that guy, it's like, I like the way you die, boy, and it's like, you know,
well, that's satisfaction because he whipped his wife.
Yeah, but it's still like he's not downtrodden. Like what you're saying there is like he's very quiet because he is downtrodden, but then it's like
no, that's not what being quiet is about. Like he used his being used to being kept quiet as a strong point. Because when you're quiet, you can blend in better, and then you can pick moments to be strong.
If he were concerned about blending in, he wouldn't have picked such a fabulous outfit.
Well, that is a direct reference to an anti-slavery thing with the blue boy.
I'm aware, but like I feel like that's the thing. Django is almost too much of a blank slate as a character, and I think if there had been a little bit more internal life, and again, I personally would have just like picked a different actor. But I get it. Like Tarantino and Jamie Foxx are friends, and you want to work with your friends.
And he's also a guy who actually knows how to ride a horse really well.
That's his horse in the movie.
Yeah,
he owns a horse farm.
He's an actual cowboy.
Sure, but
his runner-up was Will Smith, and he's not a cowboy.
I don't really... I mean, like, again, it'd be also fine if Django had to learn to ride a horse because he was a slave, you know? I don't think, like, being a good cowboy is a qualification for being a good actor. I mean, like, maybe if you're Viggo Mortensen, but, like,
it was one of the
not
reasons,
anyone
like,
else.
he was a good example.
You do need to know first aid if you're going to be a criminal, though.
Yeah, totes. Like, that's what I mean. It's just, like, I don't care how good Django is at riding a horse because, like, I'd get it if he was like, I'm kind of scared of horses because, like, you know.
So his
no one cared if they
confidence
kicked
puts
me.
you off?
No, it's the fact that sometimes he's confident and sometimes he's meek and sometimes like he isn't anything except in love with his wife. And I think like that's just kind of boring. Brunhilde's really cool. Like I kind of got her vibe because like Kerry Washington's a dope actress, you know. I just don't think Jamie Foxx was very strong.
See,
and I don't think he carried the whole movie.
A lot of the characters in these movies have singular motivations. Like in Kill Bill, she wants to kill Bill.
Sure,
That's her
but there's a
motivation.
lot of stuff going on her face, and she never kind of acts out of character. Yeah, I think that Jamie Foxx isn't a very good actor, is basically what I'm saying, and he shouldn't have been the lead in this movie.
Okay.
But that's the thing
So-
is like the film's called Django, and he's the least interesting character out of the whole
Yes.
film. And
I
it's
see.
like,
I still disagree. Like, I think he's great.
well,
I love watching his. I think he's very good at being expressive without having actor face. I think he's very good at putting it out there while you were engaged with his line of sight and just
I
the
was
little
never
quips.
engaged with. I was looking at that big old tooth.
it was just like when he was like in the quippiness, like it was almost like he was overacting though.
Well, in those sequences when he's supposed to be really quippy, he's trying to be the worst version of himself. So yeah, he's gonna seem a little weird.
I don't like Jamie Foxx either.
Okay. So
I
they
think
just don't like
think
Jimmy Fox.
I think it's definitely like the weakest lead in any of the movies at the table. Because I would go to bat for like Shoshana / Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards, and it doesn't even really have a main character because he couldn't decide. I mean,
Harvey Keitel.
yeah,
Well,
you're gonna be okay.
I
But
don't know,
like
he didn't show
Uma,
his penis, and that's usually like the big Harvey Keitel moment.
I don't need to see his penis ever again.
Not in
No,
Reservoir
you need to
Dogs,
see
he
it
didn't.
more.
is it like the big Harvey Keitel moment,
In
or
a
is
lot
it
of
like
movies.
the Harvey Keitel moment, big as relative?
It's just kind of a sad, droopy Harvey Keitel
yeah.
moment.
See, that's what I mean.
Yeah, well, he ended up being a sad, droopy man at
That's
the end
true.
of that movie.
That's true. All right, that is it for time. So I'm at a bit of a problem here because I honestly I feel like the most complaints were towards Django because I think you did the best job of defending your movie. When it actually came to having complaints, you did the best job batting down those complaints. Whereas with, say, Inglourious Bastards, I think your defense of the movie was fantastic in your first 5 minutes. But your second 5 minutes, you didn't really have a lot to say at a lot of the other things. You just kind of repeated your points from the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
But the first 5 minutes were great, so I don't know. Whereas the other two movies, they're a little bit tougher because I don't think it was... Sam, I don't think that was your best argument, but you did a good job. And Matt, you usually do better. I mean, every other time we've had you on, you've done such a great job. And then this time...
All 12 times.
Well, you never had to actually look at your face.
That's fair.
Neither of us actually like Tarantino that much.
No.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't do a good job.
I didn't say you did a bad job. I think both of you did well. I just don't think that there was enough because I don't think either one of you are that big of fans of the movie. I don't think your defenses came fully up. I think
It was kind of like asking me to pick my favorite turd out of the bucket.
so. Yeah, and I think I think you did a good job for your level of enjoyment.
It
for the
wasn't
movie.
that bad for me,
Yeah.
but I think Tarantino is a reprehensible man.
Yeah.
I won't be seeing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood anywhere but a plane.
I will see it opening day. But again, that's why I'm the judge on this one. Definitely not contested. So for me, it's between Inglourious and Django, and I'm really torn on this. I'm gonna give the edge to Django, just a little
Okay.
hair of an edge, and it's only because more people fought you, but you actually fought back more.
I would fight back more if I had actually rewatched the movie. I just didn't rewatch it.
It's
so.
too damn long for you to even
No, you rewatched Django. You didn't watch Inglourious. That's why I said you win.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
You
wait.
just won.
Oh, I thought you said you gave the edge to Inglourious.
Oh, I meant no to Django.
Oh, okay.
Just bit of an edge.
Oh, okay.
I'd say if I was willing to say tie, I'd say you two tied, but I'm not willing to do
That
that.
explained why she was glaring at you. I was like, she just won and she's
I know you just
glaring.
won. Why are you so
Sorry,
mad at
I
me for winning?
misheard you.
That'll teach you to make her win again.
Yeah, how dare
I'll
I?
take it.
Uh,
The fashion of my movie is all original. We didn't have to use any Nazis. No
Oh,
Hugo
but
Boss here, guys.
By killing all those Nazis. Oh, chef's kiss. Mwah.
that's why, like, I was so close, and I
And
gotta
this is
go.
one of the reasons I love my movie.
I don't know. I was in a bad
fashion.
mood when I watched Inglourious Bastards, and seeing all those Nazis get it just really lifted the spirits.
Yeah, but Hugo Boss is still around.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All right, so that
I
is the
drove
end of
here in a
today's.
Volkswagen today. I'm sorry, you guys.
Nazis!
That is the end of today's battle. Thank you all for playing.
Thank
We're
you.
going to do a quick round of plugs, and then we're going to say goodbye. So I will start off first. Be sure to tune in next week when we have Matt Dykes back yet again to talk about, in his opinion, the greatest movie of all time.
This is
Die
going to be
Hard.
weird because he's going to go back home and come back.
Yeah, I know.
Between this. I don't know how you're going to do it, man.
You're out of your mind,
It's
man.
costing me a
That's
fortune
not-
in plane travel.
It's really not very green of you to use jet fuel to come back to see us. It's
Shh,
not.
no, we like having him on. It's fun. We don't need the planet. You can just be on the podcast.
Well, to be fair, my trip on the plane is not going to damage it really.
Next time you come, can you please just row a boat to us?
Oh yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
Yeah, or
I'll
hang
start
glide.
now.
Yeah.
He'll be able to walk across on the plastic land bridge soon.
Yeah. Perfect. All great
Is that a
ideas.
plan?
That would work.
Accidentally.
No, the plastic islands in the Pacific.
Oh, we're talking
Yeah.
about trash.
Yeah.
Well, they could
you
take
also-
all that trash, melt it down,
could
and make a
probably-
plastic
There
bridge.
you go. Yeah.
Or
this is-
just all the dead whales.
See, that Gorilla's
Well, they're
Album
the
was-
sides
too
of
real.
the bridge.
It's getting too real. So be sure to tune in next week when we talk about Die Hard, and then be sure to tune in every Monday when we talk about Venture Brothers. I'll let everybody else do the rest of the plugs around the table. Oh no, Friday's Damage Boost because Brock's not here to do that for himself. After Venture Brothers is
yeah.
After Venture Brothers, every Tuesday, be sure to listen to Samwise, in which I, Sam, use the wisdom of the Lord of the Rings to answer all of your life questions. If you have a question, please dial or text 608-561-2755 or email sam.wise.ath@gmail.com. No question is too hard, too complicated, or too upsetting for the Lord of the Rings movies and their extended special features to answer. I promise.
And she's very good at it. I mean, one of the reasons I'm here is because of an answer to a question that I asked. Yeah.
was it?
Should I travel more?
Kinda.
Hey Sam,
What can I say
crash at
except
your
you're
place?
welcome?
Oh, goodness. You're welcome.
This is my Disney sing-along episode, you guys.
I'm so upset right now.
We do listen to that song a lot.
It is a good song.
Yeah.
But I'll say it before and I've said it again. Fuck Disney.
Hey,
I had to whisper it just because I know they can hear us.
If we ever work
Well,
for them, we're going to have problems.
I know. I might bleep it. I probably won't.
They'll buy us and be like, all right, that'll teach you.
I'll say it again, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. Fuck beep.
There you go. Yep.
Fuck bummers.
Fuck
That beep is for Beatrix
Yeah.
Kiddo.
John?
Play.
Plugs?
Yeah, I do an actual play podcast called Demon Days, which is a D&D Tiefling game for now, for the first campaign, and we're having a blast over there, if you want to check it out.
A blast, a finger blast.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're starting to really hit the explicit tag. Not quite there yet, but we're really pushing that envelope.
I'm pretty sure you're there.
Yeah.
That's it for podcast. Matt,
Tiefling
something to plug?
sex.
I'll plug sex if you want. Yeah.
Oh, God.
You'll plug the concept of sex.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's how we all got here.
Do it.
Just
do it.
Matt, things to plug. You got a couple articles coming out?
Yeah, I mean, like yesterday, when we recorded this yesterday, my moon landing article came out, which is about, it's been 50 years since we landed on the moon. We fucking did it. Anyone says that we didn't, you're wrong.
I don't know.
Would you say they're
the
a
angle
knobhead?
of those
They're a knobhead.
shadows don't really line up with the angle of the moon to the
And the
sun.
footprint looks a little weird, and
All the moon stuff aside, I do love the insult knobhead with an American accent. It is so good.
Buongiorno, knobhead.
Yeah, you've put too much emphasis on the O part. It's like knobhead.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt kept making fun of me in the car for saying knob.
Knob.
Would you like to
We-
knock on the door
we
with the
really
knob?
like our A's, okay?
Should hang out in Chicago.
But it's an O.
I know. But
But sometimes it can be more.
it's the same thing.
Noobhead. Anything else to plug, Matt?
Well, we're doing Die Hard next week. The first article I wrote for ATH was on Die Hard. Go give that a read.
There we go.
That's, tying this shit in, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a load of other articles that are coming out. There's one about the Garth Ennis run of The Punisher, which I think that might be the next one to go out. Maybe. Probably is now that you have said that.
Is it goth?
You will have to let me know which
Yeah.
one is the next one.
It needs to be goth, Ennis.
Yeah. Goth.
Goth.
Garth knob.
Oh, and I will say this because I forgot to say it with Venture Brothers earlier. Be sure to listen to Venture Brothers now because Matt is now filling in for Graham until Graham gets done with his Babyland.
Yeah, the ironic thing
With a
being, I
rhyme.
recorded an episode before I left, and I'll be recording an episode after I get back home.
We won't explain why.
Yeah.
It's just
Dude,
frustrating.
the power of technology.
Yes.
Yeah, jet-lagged podcast recording.
It's going to be great.
Woo!
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So that'll be it for today. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Thank you, Matt, for flying all the way out here only to be on a podcast, not to see LA at all.
Your arms must be so tired.
I knew
Oh,
you were
are
gonna
you
do it.
serious?
I knew it.
No,
Jesus
no.
Christ.
Yes. Yeah, you know what? I'm behind it. That was funny. Ha ha! Bye.
Bye.
Bye.